Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss the legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedoms and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, the President and General Counsel of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country in the courtrooms of America. Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedoms.
Liberty Counsel continues to defend against the ACLU's attempt to criminalize Christianity in Santa Rosa County, Florida. I'm Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel and dean of Liberty University School of Law. Joining me is Shawn Akers, the dean of the Helms School of Government at Liberty University. Shawn, this case has been going on down at Santa Rosa County, which is in the panhandle of Florida, the county adjoining Pensacola and Escambia County, for a couple of years now, where the ACLU filed suit after they were embarking on a national big fundraising tour of $335 million. They achieved that goal. They put more people on the ground in various states, including Florida, filed suit against this school in Florida, and got an attorney that is the school board attorney that simply doesn't seem to respect the constitutional rights of the school people that are within that jurisdiction, and literally agreed to the broadest consent decree I've ever seen that strips away constitutional rights of staff, faculty, students, and people within the community. And so Liberty Counsel has been battling that case for a while. One component of it I'll argue later this year in September at the Court of Appeals. The other, we're having the federal lawsuit that we brought against the school to overturn this unconstitutional order that's been put in place. That case will be going to trial later in July, but right now we're in the midst of many, many depositions that are taking place with the ACLU pushing forward and the school district attorney continuing to push forward to defend against this claim.
You know, Matt, you were doing that at the same time that you were handling the Obamacare case. This is another example of how Liberty Counsel is truly fighting the fight and picking up where common sense leaves off with the federal government and with school districts and with the legislators. Liberty Counsel's there to step up to the plate. Now, you say that you're doing depositions. Can you tell us about what's going on there?
Well, these are almost the issue is fairly straightforward in terms of the legal situation, and it should be something that could be very cleanly and easily decided by the judge. But instead, in this particular case, the judge has allowed a lot of open discovery, and the ACLU and the school district have really, I think, and frankly, abused the process by going with deposition after deposition after deposition. And so at the end of the day, there's probably going to be about 40 or more depositions, which that's very timely, very costly. It's taken a lot of our resources just to be there to defend and aggressively pursue this claim. But that's what's taking place. And really, at the end of the day, we have an order in place that is so broad that it is unconstitutional. And that's what our challenge is, that it needs to be overturned. This order essentially, and frankly, it says that you cannot have a school staff person who is in the presence of another student, whether on or off campus, pray or even agree with the student's prayer by folding their hands or bowing their head. If they even show respect, then they are considered to have endorsed prayer, and therefore they are subject to contempt under this order.
You know, Matt, this case has been going on a while. You've been fighting this fight diligently for quite a while, but every time I hear that, it has the same effect, that it's one of incredulity that we would be in a place that a judge would issue an order dictating not against all activity, but against any head nod toward religious activity on or off campus by individuals who have a private life outside of their identity as employees of the school district. That is amazing to me.
Well, in fact, the Supreme Court has indicated that Good News Clubs, sponsored by Child Evangelism Fellowship, can come on campus, and obviously those are private organizations, and they can come on campus if there's other secular similar organizations on campus, and certainly you can have prayer, and they have religious scripture readings and worship essentially right there in the Good News Clubs. Well, this particular order says that if you are aware of that you have to stop it. So it's actually saying you have to stop what the Supreme Court says is clearly permissible. So it really makes this order collide with other constitutional rights, because if they tried to stop that, then people with good news clubs would have a cause of action against the school district. It has been so broad up until recently. The court gave us some relief with giving us a preliminary injunction that if teachers or staff members go to a privately sponsored baccalaureate off campus that's sponsored by a local private entity, and they invite students to come, and anybody with the public can come, including school staff, they can come. If they are there in the presence of students, even though it's private, they cannot, when they ask people to stand up and pray, they cannot bow their heads. In that situation, they cannot fold their hands. They cannot play the piano. We had a teacher who for years at privately sponsored baccalaureates played the piano. They can't play the piano because they're participating in a, quote, religious service in their official capacity. That's what the order does, is it transforms their private actions into official capacity acts like they're in the classroom. That's unconstitutional. It goes way beyond what's permissible. And so consequently, we are challenging this, and we believe that at the end of the day, it will be ultimately struck down.
You know, Matt, even what is permissible is something that we would have, that the founders would have a hard time swallowing. They drafted the Establishment Clause of the Bill of Rights to protect the church from the state, saying that the state can't establish its own religion. What you're seeing here is an application of that to the absurd, that a school district is assuming that anything done by any school employee or for that matter, student, is somehow an act of the state, an act of the school district, so that anything they do religious is an establishment of religion. That is absurd.
That is absurd. And so what happened is we've already had Michelle Winkler, who was charged with civil contempt because she was at a privately sponsored event in a neighboring county in Escambia, where Pensacola is, and her husband, who's not a school board member, prayed over a meal. And it
not
was,
even in the same county?
Not even in the same county. It was in a different county, privately sponsored. It was an event that was held by private individuals to honor non-instructional employees of Santa Rosa, but it wasn't even in the Santa Rosa County area. It was in a neighboring county, off campus, privately funded, privately sponsored. Participation was voluntary. And her husband blessed the meal. Well, because he is the husband of a school staff member who's an administrative assistant, she was dragged into court. We had to go to court for 7.5 hours to defend her. The ACLU flew their attorneys in from New York and around the country, Washington, D.C. They wanted her to pay $30,000 in their attorney's fees for bringing this contempt action against her. We ultimately won that case, but that's the kind of chilling factor that we have there. And this is the template that the ACLU sees for America, literally to intimidate Christians, to criminalize Christianity. They've really overstepped their boundaries. So continue to pray for this case, because we're in the midst of a major, major battle against the ACLU in this case. A lot of resources, a lot of time, a lot of money is having to be expended in this case. And then, of course, the trial will happen in the middle of July. You know,
this is why it's so incredibly important to support Liberty Counsel, Matt, is because the tactics that the ACLU is using here are typical bully tactics. They're going to bully the schools into acting in fear. They're going to bully the participants. They're going to bully the litigants. And here, burying you in depositions and those kind of things just to see how much they can make it cost to defend this thing. The one thing that stops a bully is standing up to them, and that's what Liberty Counsel's doing here. So every time that one of our listeners says a prayer for Liberty Counsel or participates financially in supporting Liberty Counsel, they literally have a hand in standing up to that bully and saying, not on my watch and not in my country. I'm not going to let this happen.
That's exactly right. Well, that's if we weren't there, I can tell you what, everyone would be bullied into silence. They already have literally been forced to go into closets and pray with each other when they're trying to console a fellow employee because of a loss of, in this case, a child. And they're afraid to even have silent prayer or some kind of low-voiced prayer around a desk somewhere. That's what's happening in Santa Rosa County. We're going to be there, and we're going to continue to the end until freedom is actually restored in that county, and that the ACLU doesn't use this as a template to spread around the country, which is ultimately their goal. Give us a call at Liberty Counsel at 1-800-671-1776. You can ask for the Patriots Handbook that has the Constitution, and it's becoming more popular now, and that's a good thing. The Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. It's time that we go back to first principles and learn what the Constitution and our founders ultimately envisioned and the principles that laid down this great founding of America. Ask for the Patriots Handbook. You can go to lc.org also for an online credit card contribution right now.
You have been listening to Matt Staver of Liberty Counsel. Our hope is to encourage and inspire you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedoms. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email update. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.